Thank you very much. Great turnout. It must be all due to Duri's personality. Many of you know Duri already because he works on these. Worked on a consulting basis on Absolute and on Motorola. But I wanted to read his extremely lengthy LinkedIn summary profile here so that you know the full range of his expertise. He's considered a digital veteran in WPP over the last 16 years. He's established and run 3 leading WPP digital media agencies across 3 continents. In 2013, he ran the North American social media practice at Blast Radius, Wonderman. From 2009 to 2011, he established and ran the Ogilvy Canada social media division, where he grew revenue from 0 to 7 digits in 2 years. Between 2006 and 2009, he established and ran Mindshare's digital media division across the Middle East and North Africa, based in Dubai. He also established, ran, and sold a few digital ventures over the last 5 to 10 years, such as In Network in Canada, Agency, and Interstandards in Dubai. What he's going to be talking about today is social listening. We do a lot of social listening already, especially using Radiant 6. And Duri's aware of that, so what he wants to talk about is how to move to what he called listening 2.0, which is the next step in listening, how to take full value out of the listening that we do, how we can report to clients and provide them insights rather than just saying, here's what's happening, here's what we're hearing. So I'll turn it over to Duri and let him take it away. He says he talks very loudly, so there's no problem.
Is this working? Can you hear me? If it gets too loud, let me know. Because so I talk fast and I have an accent, so we have to work together to make this happen. First of all, it's a great opportunity to be talking to all of you, and I'm hoping this can be more of a interactive sort of session for me to put my money where my mouth is. So I'll try as much as possible to open it up. Like any point you have questions, if you reject or applaud anything I say, please raise your hand and say what you feel can apply more to what you're doing here. And this is definitely not a session to sell you the idea of social listening. I know very well that you guys, as well with most of the agencies that I work with, have had a pretty robust listening practice for the past few years. And you've used many tools like Sysmos and Radiant 6 and so on. This is just an attempt, because I work with a number of WPP agencies, to graduate our listening practice from the feel-good thing that started in 2009, where every client wanted something social, and we needed to understand what consumers were talking about and what they're feeling and sentiments, into more of a practice and more of the so what part or the so what phase of that story of, okay, how can we use this listening as a mindset, as a tool to change mindset and to, if anything, trigger a spirit of curiosity about the potential of truly getting the consumer. And it's not just like a phase in the strategy or the planning process, it's more of a mindset. It's more of a way we think of, how the market is literally has transformed from a product-driven market into a consumer-driven market. We lived for so many years in a market where products created the market, supply-driven. If your product is on the shelf, this is what people know about it and then think about buying it, to a market where it's demand, it's absolutely demand-driven. And we'll reach a point in the future where people only produce products based on what consumers demand, what consumers say, that goes into the product line, because that will be a perfect equilibrium or match of demand and supply, when you only think of the Unilevers and the Crafts producing exactly the flavors that people appreciate and exactly the types of services that people want, and book exactly the amount of seats from here to Halifax that people actually want or demand, and so on. So interrupt me at any point. And as I said, we're going to talk about it as a mindset. And this was interesting. Don't you love it when you Google an image and you get exactly the perfect image and you steal it with pride? So, this was, I think, the perfect image to talk about the next model. So what is this? Ideas? It's an appage. That's an interesting. That's a very marketing marketer answer.
Or
So,
purple.
yeah, what I loved about this image is, this has been marketing for as long as we know it. I worked in marketing 16 years. I only jumped on the social bandwagon like everyone else 6 years ago from a business perspective. I've been in digital marketing for 16 years, but this has been my job every day. My 9 to 5, mostly AM, has been this idea, but they pay me for 9 to 5, obviously, like everyone. But has been convincing customers that this is what you want. If you think of every creative brief that has ever been created in history since the Mad Men days, has been about changing consumer behavior. If you think every creative brief, every single marketing brief you've ever done must have a sentence that insinuates something that has to do with changing consumer behavior, whether it's purchase behavior, changing the way they think about us, get them to talk more about us. It's all about changing the way they feel about things towards a more favorable idea. So, you know, even if they want an orange, okay? Even when they want an apple, we're selling them an orange in a way, but we're wrapping it up to sound more like an apple, okay? Because we were able to, because the world was run by the doctrine of as seen on TV. Okay? Whatever we said on TV, they can't argue it, they can't, you know, they can punch the TV, they can drill holes in the TV, they cannot, you know, decline or deny the messages coming through the TV. And this was the marketing era up until, I would say, 2002, 2003, when something called Web 2.0 came on board. It started with the YouTube revolution, where 3 kids basically created a video upload engine, which is logic, if you think about it, it's easy, you know, find a video and then upload it into a website. And that was sold to Google in 12 months for $1.4 billion. The reason Google bought it back then in 2005, 2006 for $1.4 billion is because they understood what sort of transformation was taking place then when people became broadcasters. That's essentially what YouTube meant to the smart people at Google, and this is why they saw it as a threat. Despite the fact that, by the way, when YouTube was launched, there was a video.google.com. Google was already starting to build their library of videos, but that sort of took off in a different way, where it was less corporate, it was more organic, more consumer friendly, and this is why they bought it for the $1.4 billion, because that marked the end of the brand as the only sole broadcaster era. And started the consumer can also be a broadcaster. Okay, a guy who's high on something that Rockford most probably uses, created a video of the double-sided rainbow, if any of you saw it, and got like 35 million views in a month. Larry King Live, in his most seen episode, had 26 million viewers. And that's Larry King, like the empire of Time Warner, and all the advertising, and the networks, and the studio productions, and the makeup, to make him look 20 at the age of 85. And 25 million views, when a guy who was high at Yosemite Park created a shady video of him high and seeing 2-sided rainbows, 35 million. So that was a new era of, as a brand, you can claim whatever you want to claim, you can go and build the most amazing, compelling videos that emotionally compel us and change our behavior. We're going to shut all that down, because we know there's a choice today. There's a different point of view. In fact, there are millions of different points of view. So this is what marketing used to look like. And this is what happened because of this. We've unintentionally, and this is a marketer's nightmare, and this is where I live, and I'll tell you a story about my now 10-year-old, back then 7-year-old kid. We have been blocked behind a solid brick wall of messaging because the world has turned into a pull environment. And it's like, obviously, again, I'm not telling you anything new, but this has become so big and so impactful in the way people shape opinions and the way they choose and pick their own content at the time they want to, from the people they want to. They search for everything, they question everything, they ask their friends who have experienced the same product or service, and that for them is a way better alternative than all the stuff that we're doing. Yes, marketing still works, mostly to tell people we exist if you're launching a new product, if you're launching something new, just to make sure enough people are exposed to it. But where purchase truly happens is here. The decision, the consideration, the engagement, the affinity with the brand truly is in this space. And an example, a real life example. So I've been a marketer for the past 16 years. My kids grew up in a house where I bring new products to the house based on what clients I work on. And they become the holy grail for the family. Okay, I'm very cheap that way. So when Tassimo took off in Canada, I worked on their campaign. I launched a Twitter campaign, which really made it big. And then obviously I got a Tassimo, and everybody who came home was like, this is the best invention in history. Despite the fact I don't drink a lot of coffee, but it was it. So they lived through me with the IBM era, the Unilever campaign for the Beauty era, and the IBM, and then the Kraft, and the Tassimos, and the Air Canadas, and whatever. And if anything, my kids should grow up to be a little bit like me. Appreciate advertising, especially when Dad, growing up, pointed at the TV and said, that was us. You see that? Was it nice? This is me. This is us. What happened is actually my son was a fanatic Star Wars fan. There's Star Wars The Clone Wars, which is the animated series, and the most impatient kid in the world, because they're an on-demand generation, and the parents here will get it. When I grew up, if I wanted to watch cartoon, it was 2 hours a day, between 2 and 4 p.m. You miss it, tough luck, move on to the next day, this is it. My kids today do not understand the concept of scheduling, because there's YouTube, they can watch any Ben 10 episode any given time. There's DVR, they can record the same episode and watch it 50 times in a week, which they do, okay? They have everything. They have 5 24-hour cartoon channels. The concept of scheduling for them is obsolete, is foreign, and thus they have become very impatient, because they think everything is a push of a button. So this very impatient kid, okay, whose dad is a marketer and points in ads, with absolute lists every day, has done the following. Saturday, 7 p.m., there's a new episode of The Clone Wars, and this was when he was 7, by the way, 3 years ago. What he does was, he waits for 10 minutes, pacing around the house, like going crazy around the house. Why? He starts every episode 10 minutes later to fast forward the ads. Yeah, I didn't teach him this. Yeah, I didn't teach him this. And seeing this for me was the prophesizing of my idiot doom. My own son is avoiding and understanding the difference between content that I'm putting, this is what I've chosen to watch, versus content that you're pushing in my way, which okay, even if it was the most wicked Nerf gun ad, I didn't ask for it. Okay, so it's truly impacting the way. So again, the most important word in the world of marketing has always been relevance. So there's nothing new there. But today, what has become the most important concept in marketing is ongoing relevance, and that's where true listening comes to practice. Is things are changing every day. Okay, people are changing their mind, are shaping opinions, are driving new opinions. So the concept of being on the pulse on an ongoing basis has become so important, because in the past we used to live on the same persona slide, which we were so proud about, by building a 10-person focus group and then saying, this is Jessica. Jessica likes to buy Motorola. Or this is John, who consumes Absolute. Or this is this guy. And then we've built all of our marketing based on those people, how they behave, how they use digital, how they use social and everything. And what's happening today is this is literally changing every day. People change their opinion about brands, about their products, about what they should buy, what they should talk about every single day based on the daily experiences that they have with them. So, well, there's a practice to that, okay? How can we, if we say that a relevant brand is the brand that survives and it's going to be future-proofed, how can we help our brands and our clients become more relevant, okay? And in that sense, by the way, you can remove the word brand and you can replace it with agency. Is this doing a lot of echo? No? Okay, might be better this way. So how can we change, you can change this word, you can erase this word and put agency, relevant agency, because this applies on the agency as well from a practice perspective. And then you can remove agency as well and say me, relevant me. How can you be relevant to your agency as an individual, as a marketer? And then how can your agency be relevant in this market to the client? And then obviously, eventually, how can the brand be relevant to the customers? And if you think about it, and I'll tell you a funny story about this slide when I finished doing it, it's, you need to be where they are, which we all know this. Fish where the fish are. We've been talking about this forever. You need to mingle with them in their social circles, become a local. You know, talk as if you're local. You know how Instagram works, you know how Pinterest works, you know how Facebook works, you know what you should and shouldn't do on Twitter. And this basically translates from a marketing perspective into platforms. Where do we need to be? Okay, so that's a part of being relevant, obviously. The second part is you need to speak their language. You need to talk about things of interest to them. Okay, it's not only the brand story. Brand story can exist on TV, maybe, because people expect it to be on TV, because there's no conversation. But when you're in the social space or digital space, you need to talk about things that are interesting to them. It doesn't only have to be about the product. Okay, the days of put your product on the shelf and then something will happen and you've delivered your part of the deal as a brand or a company are over. Today, consumers and customers expect you to surround that with a lot of thought leadership. So if you sell, like P&G, if you sell Cotex, for example, they need you to understand, and to show them that you understand, are willing to make fun of your own ads from 5 years ago about the way you thought your product should be sold. And that you understand this is what women go through. And it's a shitty experience versus it's a twirling white dress and it's all beautiful. So they expect you to understand, to have the thought leadership and the courage to say, this is what it is, we get it, we understand the environment, we understand how you feel, we understand everything, and this is why you're going to trust me as a product more, because I'm not selling you bullshit of this product makes you feel better. So you need to speak to them the same language and answer their questions the right way. And this is basically from a marketing practice, this is content. Okay, so what do